So Thames Reach has been operating since 1984. We started off really working with rough sleepers in central London, finding people on the street and then moving people into accommodation. Through that, we've gone on to develop other services. First of all, hostel services, then what we call supported housing, and support for people to maintain their tenancies. So to stop people becoming homeless or prevent people becoming homeless, and also help people to move back into accommodation after a period of homelessness. Alongside that as well, we've developed services to help people move on in their lives, notably around helping people into work. What this proposition was inspired by was the story of someone who we worked with who'd spent, I think, about 30 years in registered care homes, and there was no real expectation that she would live anywhere else, from herself or from anywhere else, from anyone else. She'd actually had a tragic and quite scary history of lots of abuse and violence, both she'd been a victim of violence, but also at times the perpetrator of violence as part of her illness. But there's no real expectation that she could live anywhere than in an environment where she had carers 24 hours a day, and she had very little choice about the way she lived her life.
The reason Thames Reach were successful in their ICRF application was it was seen to be a really good plan for them. It was a good partnership between the organisation itself and between their approved provider, and the investor panel could really see how the plan would take them from where they are now to where they wanted to be.
Well, we're a consulting practice. We're people who used to work in the NHS, senior management positions. We provide support, advice to typically to social enterprises, to the NHS, to local authorities. Well, it was initially reviewing the scheme and doing some financial modelling and what-ifs appraisals of it, because Thames Reach worked up a concept which looked good, but when we started to challenge it and ask a few questions about the approach they were taking and looking at ways that they might be able to do it better at a cheaper price.
Chris in particular has done a lot of work around helping us develop our approach to alliance contracting, which is not part of the original proposition, but certainly was critical in actually moving the scheme forward. So it's actually, I suppose you could say, about shaping the environment in which we worked. So really useful. We're really happy about the way this project is developing in Lambeth. So we started off in Lambeth, we knew commissioners well, we knew the environment well in Lambeth, but we'd always been seeing that this was really an opportunity to prove the concept. And so we started talking to other boroughs about this, other people about approaching it, and actually they started getting it. So only this morning I had an email from a colleague in another borough who was saying, well, we're interested, let's talk about this. I think we'd also like to think about how this kind of approach means that we can approach commissioners with a proposition that we own and control, rather than to bid for a short-term contract. So it's about giving stability to the organisation, giving stability to services, and being able to influence the way services are delivered in the future.
My top tips for anyone thinking about taking on investment would be, don't think of it as a replacement for grant income, because investment won't do that. But what investment can do is provide a way for you to grow your business. If you are already a sustainable organisation, you can grow that through investment. make sure you have your board and your trustees behind you and they are committed to you taking on investment, and also make sure you have the right people around you in terms of advisors. Our approved providers have a wealth of experience, but they are all different. You need to make sure that you find the right provider for you that understands your business, your organisation and what it is that you're trying to achieve.
The ones that work best are where the organisation's got a good idea of where it wants to be. It may not necessarily know all the ins and outs of how it gets there, but it has a very clear view of what it's trying to do. And then when things change, as they inevitably do during the course of a project, hanging on to what they're about, why they're trying to do it, is really important.